It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday matinee to you, gentlemen. Steve, Andy, hello.
Yeah,
Good morning.
Good morning. We've been here for a while waiting for you. I think Andy and I knocked out 2 episodes waiting for you to get here.
I don't know why you're making fun of me. Andy was the one that was last here. He's the late one.
We were prepping 3 episodes ahead. We're all set and ready to go because
already ready for next week.
Yeah, well, because the sun's up early here, so you're still up in the. Yeah, I'm not going to mock your environment again. I do that too often.
I'm not gonna lie. There is a slight chill in the air, but the sun does shine here now, so I am all right. How's your movie lives? You guys see?
I haven't had a chance to get out and catch much in the theater, but I have been playing catch up. With just some other films. Like I finally saw Happy Death Day, which I absolutely loved. Finally caught up on my with Jigsaw, so I've caught up completely on the Saw franchise. Yay me!
That sounds terrible.
It's one of those horror franchises. I really enjoy watching the films. It actually is a lot of fun. So that's me.
I think I'm learning that is the area of horror specifically that I have trouble with. I think I'm narrowing it down.
Did you see any of them? Have you seen at least the first one?
I think I saw the first one and I did not like it.
Because I would largely say the first couple they feel different than some of the later ones, which feel a little more.
So you think I should see the later ones?
No.
You think I should just see them all?
Sure, see them all. No, but the first one, I think the first 2 are the best. But there are elements throughout that I still find enjoyable. I don't know. It's one of those franchises that I really want to. After you watch them all, after I watch them all, I kind of want to go back and rewatch all of them because there are elements that happen later that it's all nicely nested in kind of one tight timeline, and they start kind of layering over each other. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's not my thing either, Pete.
Yeah,
I mean, I've read about them, and I am impressed with what could have become, your typical just horror franchise where you just, come up with a story to keep things going. But from what I understand, there's some really smart structuring and writing going on to how this whole thing has been built out, and it sounds like there was some intentional design and thought to things rather than just, like Friday the 13th. Oh, well, we'll kill him. We'll find a creative way to bring him back. And then stuff happens. So I do respect that, but it's nothing that I want to spend those hours in that world. I've got other things that I would rather be placing myself into.
There are puppies to pet. Dogs,
yes,
cats to snuggle.
Well, I can't wait to get the Saw franchise on our list one day. Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a hard line on that, Andy.
Okay, there you go.
At the end of the world, there may be a set of movies that we don't.
Oh my gosh, Andy, that's it. You can do a Saw movies by minute with JJ.
Right. That would be.
It will be a decade of misery for him.
That's probably all he could handle is a minute at a time.
Exactly. Yes, that's the perfect way to do that for him.
Brilliant.
Oh my god. Did you guys see this? That Criterion is doing a longer release of the Tree of Life.
Yeah, almost an hour. Oof.
Oh my!
Just
goodness.
Stop laughing right now. Just stop. I did not know about that. I think
the news just came out.
That's right up your alley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. Because that
did.
Right now on Flickchart is sitting at the top of my list. That's my thing.
Steve.
No, Malik.
Oh,
that's
dear.
No.
Steve.
That's me. So just stop.
Dinosaurs and whispering and. Let's put the camera upside down for this shot. Yeah.
All right. That's right. Oh man, good one, Andy. Good one. Oh, Tree of Life. So cute. What do you
Pete,
guys
one
buy
day, we're going to have a speakeasy guest who's going to pick that, and we're going to have to re-endure that.
You know what happens when that happens?
The speakeasy
Andy?
dies.
Is the speakeasy dies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our recording equipment just exploded.
I'm sorry. Pete cut out his own tongue.
And Steve
Did
bailed.
Steve just leave?
So I'm here.
He's like, I can't take it anymore.
That's it. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
I guess so.
Okay.
Okay. What do you guys?
So here's what I
guys...
saw this week because I've been slacking off. So I did a David Wain double feature. So I had never gotten around to watching Wet Hot American Summer. So it's been sort of revitalized with some series like 10 Years Later and the First Day of Camp. So I sat down to watch that because I'd heard, you look at the cast and everybody was in it. This was Bradley Cooper's first feature length film. When you look at his filmography, that was everything that was like, there were a couple TV things. This was his first film back in 2001. It's got everybody in it. And I understand why people either love it or hate it. It's an odd movie, but I did enjoy it. And then I watched A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which is also on Netflix. And that is the story of the creation of the National Lampoon. And I had no idea about how all these things were, that so much of the original SNL cast was part of the National Lampoon. And then it gets into, Animal House and Caddyshack, all that. It was really entertaining film. Very interesting structure to have Martin Mull as sort of the narrator, as the older Doug Kenny, and Will Forte as the young Doug Kenny. You've got Domhnall Gleeson. I mean, huge cast in this one as well. I recommend it. It was very light, entertaining film, and gave me a little bit of a history lesson that I did not know about. Yeah,
that's awesome. But back to Wet Hot American Summer. I can't tell if you liked it or didn't.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not. There's so many people. This is the greatest comedy ever. No, it's not that. It's not a style of humor that really strikes my funny bone. I appreciate it. I see the humor in moments, and there were several times when I laughed out loud. But it's not among my top comedies. But I don't hate it. I get why some people may not like it because some of it is just ridiculous. But that's the joy of something like this. It strikes a weird tone. It's doing unusual things with time. There's odd things that happen in this movie that I don't know what to make of. Like, they all get back from the trip to town, and it's really weird because then they all go stand like with their faces up against a wall in the background. It was, weird things like that just strike you as what am I supposed to make of that? I don't know. Well, it's just being silly, and I can take that. I like my humor with a little bit more something to it rather than just silliness, but I did enjoy it. I don't know that I'm going to go through all of the whole, series of the First Day of Camp and the 10 Years Later piece, but I felt that it was time to sit down and watch this because I could say it's sort of an important film. There's a lot of people that started here, and it did something unusual and unique.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
funny.
Like saying I've got to see that Texas Chainsaw Massacre one with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey just because they were in it. I've never had interest in that movie, and I still refuse to watch it.
Well, I mean,
I don't understand why you refuse.
Okay, I don't refuse. I just
that's a little bit. Seems a little strong.
Okay, but there's a difference because nobody's saying that was a great film. There's a lot of people that point to Wet Hot American Summer and say, "Hey, this is something special." I don't think anybody's saying that about that Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, and it's not important just because it's the starting point. It is a unique style of structure. It comes out of the people that did like The State and stuff. So there's sort of a school of comedy that found its footing here, and I think a lot of things developed from this. And I couldn't say that about that Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It didn't launch like a whole different type of horror film.
I know, I'm just being cheeky. It really is just one of those things though, where the I don't know. It's just, even with all of that, it still has never looked good. It's never looked like an appealing film. And I don't know, my wife watched it and she's like, I don't know what was special about that. It just was like any other bad comedy. So, I don't know. That's, I guess, my place for it. So
I actually am with you. I did not find anything particularly magical about it. And that what I like so much about it I say so much. What I liked about it is that there are people that I really like today, comics that I really like today, Joe Latrulio, I mean, Judah Friedlander, people in this thing that I find their comedy really funny, and they're doing kind of wacky stuff, and it's more of a nostalgic dopamine hit. Just to see where they came from, and for the same reason, I've watched a couple of episodes of First Day of Camp, and it was the same thing. I like seeing individual actors doing individual things, but all together, it's just it's kind of a mess for me. I have a hard time. I find it sort of impenetrable. So interesting. Paul Rudd is. I just love the Paul Rudd story, like how this guy starts here and ends up as stinking Ant-Man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you sort of need to see this as part of the canon. So, speaking of big blockbuster movies, hey, do we give credence to some of the early reports coming out of the premiere of Solo?
It's so hard to gauge because I think, it's the premiere. People get excited because they're at the premiere. I think there's a lot of just that positive vibe. And honestly, if you look at kind of the Letterboxd ratings so far, as Martin Tilkvist put up on our page on Discord, it's pretty all over the place as far as some of the ratings that people have put there. I don't know if it's something that's changed my personal opinion, but I do feel, I don't know, ever since I did let my little inner child out of the box before Force Awakens, I feel like as we get closer to any Star Wars movie, I just find myself getting excited. So that's where I am.
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm just gonna say it. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see it. I have been more excited with every interview that I have seen. With the cast, and especially after Donald Glover's appearance on SNL, I'm very excited to see his Lando Calrissian. I think this could be one that I'm really going to like, especially given how I felt about some of the other recent movies. And I feel like a total island on these in some respects, but I am still enjoying them. I like Star Wars.
See, I do too. I'm just cautiously optimistic. I'm not overly excited because I've stayed just away from everything. I know there was we changed directors. So there's, story things got changed, lots of things rewritten. So that can work really well to help a film find its footing, but it can also be, symptomatic of problems. So I'm going to show up and say, well, this is a Star Wars movie, so I have a minimum level of expectation, and then hopefully it thrills me. But I'm prepared to be disappointed by this one, but that's the way I'd like to walk into these. Just say, well, I know where Star Wars, my inner child expects Star Wars to be, so I don't know that it'll get there, but I'm, again, cautiously optimistic because I just know that at some point this franchise is going to stumble a little bit somewhere, because I think feels like they are going to get ahead of themselves somewhere, and they're going to take a step and they're going to stumble. And I don't know if this will be the one, or if it's going to be the Obi-Wan or the Boba Fett, the little individual stories. That just seems like there's a machine running, and sometimes the artfulness has to take a little side seat to that, because to get everything going, there's momentum, and you can't stop and say, well, hold on a second, this may not be the film that it needs to be yet. We need to stop things. That can't happen. It's like once things get set, it's going to be what it is, no matter what.
Let's do trailers.
All right, Steve, you got the red band rule.
Double down, man.
Red band or the A24 red band.
A24 red band, and something that's in my sweet spot for types of films that I bring. So, that's it. There's no need for me to do any more trailers after this one, because I hit all three areas. It's the perfect convergence.
I almost feel like because of this, Andy and I don't even get to do trailers this week. Like, you just do it 3 times.
So this one is called Never Going Back, the story of Jesse and Angela, high school dropouts, trying to take a week off to chill at the beach, and everything just goes wrong. They get fired, they're broke, their house gets robbed, rent is due. This is first film from writer-director Augustine Frizzell, and to me, this was just, I don't know. It looks like it's got the A24 aspect, which has this certain vibe and feel of like this, realistic, gritty sort of look at being a teenager or a dropout and living that type of life. And you've got all this, it's red band, you've got all this swearing, you've got girls, just acting outrageously and crudely. And they're teenagers living life and suffering the consequences of making bad choices and being challenged to maybe make something of themselves. Just the perfect convergence of, I think, everything that I'm looking for in a film nowadays.
It's an interesting trailer, and it's A24, so it's already on my list of films that I'm interested in watching. It feels very much like kind of along the vibe of the Florida Project, where it's going to be probably an interesting and powerful story about characters that I really have a trouble liking because they're just so different, and just they go down such vastly different roads than I would go down, and but it's interesting to watch, and it certainly makes for powerful stories. That's what the Florida Project really hit me as a powerful film about mother and daughter, and kind of this really crappy life that they led, largely because of decisions the mother made. This looks kind of like the grown-up version of that little girl, and here she is now, not doing any better with her own life. But that being said, there's an honesty and something about this trailer that still catches my eye. So I'm excited. I think it looks like an interesting one, and it's a first-time film that's getting a lot of praise, and I think that's always something to look out for.
Yeah, it's August 3rd release date, so something there in the summer that's maybe a little bit of a relief from all the CG noise that'll be out there this summer. And I hope it's a film that finds an audience, because I think maybe, as I've got two teenage girls, and I see this being, again, another film that's something that's probably speaking to them. I mean, with the exception of all the drugs and drinking, just sort of the relationship between the two girls, of like an honest portrayal of two girls being best friends and what that's like. I see a lot of that dynamic that's presented in the film in my daughters and some of the relationships they have with their friends. And so it's that, honest, realistic portrayal of what two best girlfriends, do for fun and what their relationship is like. And I don't think we get that a lot in films.
The beat that I thought was a real highlight for me is at the very end when she says, "You didn't go to the bathroom? That's really unhealthy." Like, all of this nonsense is going on around them, and that becomes the most important thing in how they care for one another.
Go to the bathroom. It's not that
I know.
For 2 days not going to the bathroom. Yes.
I thought it looked great. I think it's this is a great one to add to the list. I'm excited about it. I think Andy's probably right though. Like, it might be hard to really fall in love with our characters here. And Camilla Maroney was, I didn't see it, but the daughter in Eli Roth's updated Death Wish. Did you guys see it?
No, I didn't hear anything good, so
I didn't hear anything good either. So I'm waiting for it. But it did crest the 6-star rule on IMDb. So
So there's that.
I just hadn't seen these girls before, so I thought it was interesting that they were in another movie that I haven't seen. So it's not weird at all. Andy, what's your trailer?
So my trailer, I ended up picking a film. I'm always up for a good thriller or horror film or something that just kind of gets the juices pumping. And this film called Searching that is coming out soon looks like a really interesting and kind of haunting film, especially as a parent of a daughter. This is a story of a father who has kind of this it looks like he's his relationship with his daughter is really designed to, or it just ended up being really around them talking over the computer through Skype and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like there's a real active relationship between the two of them. And physically active. Like she doesn't seem to have a presence in his life. I don't really know how that came to be. I don't know if she lives with her mother or what, but the way that the story plays out is she goes missing and he kind of freaks out and is trying to find her. And then as he's working with the detective, he's kind of exploring her story and realizing how little he knows about her. And he's talking to her friends and realizing she doesn't really hang out with people. And he starts learning all of this stuff about her as he tries to find her. And maybe she's not really missing. Maybe she ran away. Who knows? She took out this large chunk of money. So it looks like a really interesting story, and it's shot a lot from the point of view of smartphones and computer screens. I don't know if it's completely shot that way, but certainly from the trailer, it seems to be.
That's what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, so I'm really it looks like a really interesting film. It played at Sundance earlier in the year. John Cho stars as the father, and Deborah Messing as the detective who's trying to help him. And I don't know. I found it to be kind of a really exciting, frightening story. Anish Chaganty is directing it, and Timur Bekmambakov is one of the producers, and he's somebody we've talked about with some of the trailers that he's done. So I don't know. I just think it looks really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see this one. What do you guys think?
I love that John Cho is playing an older guy. He has such a kind of cherubic face in like the ageless face in the Star Trek movies that it's nice to see him play a different age cast.
It really looked like they were emphasizing his forehead wrinkles.
a little bit there, and his smile lines.
Yeah, did they? Yeah, because I looked at this, I'm like, why does John Cho look like he's 50-something years old in this? Did they make him stay up for like a week straight? Make him look old and tired, because I thought he's in his 40s, so he's old enough to have a teenager. Why I don't know, it looks like they just tried to make him look older, and I guess that's, age is sort of a difficult thing to play, since you have actors in their 20s playing high school students. So
that's it. I mean, he's 45 but looks 24.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, my question for you guys is: do you think the shot through cell phone perspective is played out? Like, is that going to add enough to this movie to make it more than a missing persons episode of CSI?
Well, what I like about it is it ties it's very thematically tied into the story, because so many people like live their lives now through social media and through their phones and stuff, using that as kind of the device to film the movie and to track the missing person felt kind of unique to me. It's not like Chronicle, which we're just we're jumping from phone to phone, happening to watch the entire thing, as if somebody captured all the footage 5 years down the line and edited it all together. I felt like this had a little more of a thematic connection.
Yeah, it's challenging to use this sort of visual format, because in traditional storytelling, it's like, okay, we're an audience, we're just this, we're an observer. Here, when you get into the technology, it's sort of like, well, is he talking to me? Am I spying on him through his computer? How am I seeing this? I think Modern Family did an episode similar to this, format. I think there've been a couple other smaller films where it's all done, on, sort of video chat type thing. So I think it's an interesting approach to take. I agree with Andy. This is probably the right story to tell this way. I struggle with the choices that they make. And again, going to Chronicle of, is there a logic to why we're seeing it in this specific way? Or is it just a nice sort of thematic tie-in? And I'm willing to let that go and say, I'll suspend disbelief and I'll do this and not question like where, which camera on which laptop, or the fact that how many people actually do video chat all the time versus just regular text messaging. I'll go with this. I don't know that I'm going to go out to the theater to see it, because to me, this is probably the perfect format to sit and just load up on my laptop.
Well, you might be right.
Yeah, that's the truth right there. That's the kiss of death for the theatrical release of this movie. It was shot on stinking cell phones. Watch it on your computer. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's anyway. Opening August 3rd here in the U.S. So, I don't have any other information about it as far as the releases, but that's my trailer. What's yours, Pete?
Mine is, okay. Jacob Tremblay accidentally triggered the return of my inner child. And so I'm going to do the teaser for The Predator. The first sense of what The Predator is going to look like, the movie is going to be like, from director and writer Shane Black and co-writer Fred Decker. I got to tell you, I got pretty excited for it. I didn't expect it to be as exciting as it is to me, but as soon as I saw the ship reignite in space and careen down to Earth as young Tremblay is playing with the who knows why he got this piece of alien equipment in a cardboard box, but as soon as he started playing with it, I was into it. We've got Yvonne Skrovsky, Olivia Munn, Lachlan Monroe, Jacob Tremblay, Sterling K. Brown, Thomas Jane. It feels like Thomas Jane is everywhere right now. Boyd Holbrook, Jake Busey, Edward James Olmos, Keegan-Michael Key, and others. I think the cast looks great. I really liked the callbacks to the original film, and I think I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. What do you guys think?
Other than the first Predator film, I've never been thrilled with the rest of them. There are fun elements in some of the other ones, certainly. And, the Alien versus Predator films, I think, are designed to just be kind of silly action nonsense. And I think they accomplish that pretty well. This film, I think I was excited about it initially because Shane Black is doing it. And, he had been in the original Predator. So I kind of just liked that through line that he has with this franchise. I don't know. I can't say the trailer did anything for me, which kind of disappointed me. And I'm hoping that the film, when it actually comes out, or when we see a subsequent trailer, that it's something that grabs me a little more. I mean, I think they're doing a good job, I guess, just teasing, with this, as far as it being a teaser, because you don't really get a lot of Predator in it. And so I'm hoping, I don't know. I guess I just hope the film's going to be more, because right now, as a tease, this made me go, oh, okay. Well, I'm not that excited anymore.
Well, it's got to ask you. The teaser is are you excited by the nostalgia play of it? I think, and for me, I really am.
Oh yeah, I think if you're going to have a Predator movie, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to appeal to, the fans of the franchise or the original film, and so you've got to play up that part. But this is Shane Black, and I think there's one little scene that gives me a little bit of that sense of Shane Black in the teaser. Of course, I didn't see any Christmas stuff, so I know we'll have to get that in there somewhere. But as a director, the Nice Guys and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, I know the guy knows how to deliver a movie that's going to entertain. So I just, damn you, Pete, for making me watch this, because I didn't want to see
one of those.
It's a teaser. It's a teaser, so I can let it go. So I'm like, it didn't give away too much. So I'm fine with that. It gave me everything that I was going to expect out of a Predator film. I got to see some bits of the creature. I got some action. So yeah, I'm totally on board with this one. I'm very, very excited.
Going to drop September 14th, 2018 in the United States. It looks like it's pretty much starts its run in Australia September 13th and rolls around the world after that. So there you go, Predator. Let's do lists.
All right, let's do it. So for our lists this week, we talked about time. And we put up a poll over on Discord, and the option that everybody chose for us to chat about with our lists is romantic comedies with sci-fi elements. So who's going to kick that off?
Well, A24 rule, I think, carries. So that would be Steve.
A24 /Red Band
/ Red Band
trailer
dominates the entire episode.
But I don't. Here's the thing: is I don't have an A24 film on the list, and I don't have a Red trailer. No, okay. So I guess I'll go easy on you guys going first, because I have quite a few backups, and I don't want to steal anything. And so I'm going to start off with something that I'm pretty sure neither of you have seen, and this is a film that sort of lingered on Netflix for a long time. I checked to see if it's still available there. It's not available anywhere, and I hate that this happens with these smaller films. I go to the justwatch.com, which should tell me if it's like available streaming anywhere for digital purchase or rent. There's nothing. You can't get this film anywhere, which is a shame. This is from 2009. It's called Timer. And it's sort of a lighter version of what could have been maybe a Black Mirror episode. But the concept is that in the near future, you can get a wrist implant that counts down to the time when you will meet your soulmate. So some people have a little countdown timer that says, oh, it's like, 3 months away. Others, it's like, 15 or 20 years. And so our main character, Una, who's played by Emma Caulfield, is out on, has been dating this guy for a while. They decide to go get their implants. His gets implanted. He's got like 40 days. Hers, like, no, nothing. There's no countdown. So she has no idea how long she has until she meets her soulmate, because her soulmate hasn't gotten one of these little implanted, countdown timers. So the whole sci-fi element of it is this whole countdown timer of meeting your soulmate, but film gets into the idea of how people react to that. She's got a sister that's got like 15 years. So her whole life is like a series of like one night stands. She's going to live it up and get the most out of her life until she meets the soulmate. Other people like, oh, I've got 4 months, so I don't want to get involved in anything messy. I don't want to, have any, baggage or anything going into this relationship. So it's a very interesting exploration of how people make decisions. So traditional romantic comedy, but with this concept of the timer piece to it.
I've never heard of that.
Never even heard of it.
It sounds really cool though. I love the conceit, and so it's a film I'll have to check out.
You can't.
Yeah, I'll have to. I wonder if it's something that like the library has a copy of.
Yeah.
It may, and it's a small little film, and it does. It works really well, knowing that you're going to add sci-fi, but not really. I mean, there's not a lot of special effects to this or anything, but it's just this concept, and small cast. It's one of those nice little back in the blockbuster days, straight to video type of discoveries where you'd be like, wow, this was better than I thought it was going to be.
Huh.
All right.
So that's my freebie. So before I start stealing stuff off your list.
Phew.
All right, Andy, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to go with a film that, it very easily could have fit on our current series of time travel films. My struggle with it is I can't remember how funny it is. So I don't know if it is really a romantic comedy. I do remember some elements of that made me laugh in the film, but I don't know if it's more of a romance, sci-fi, and even the sci-fi element is very just, they talk about it. It's not necessarily like, hey, check this cool time machine out.
Oh man, this is a steal.
But I really enjoyed this film. It was the 2000 film that Brad Anderson directed called Happy Accidents with Marissa Tomei and Vincent D'Onofrio. I remember I saw this in the theater. It was one of those movies that I thought looked interesting. And so my wife and I went and caught it in the theater. We're like, wow, what a refreshing film to see. Just something we didn't know anything about and just had an absolute great time with. It's about Marissa Tomei she has this terrible string of relationships, and she meets this guy and they fall in love, but then she's kind of like, something about him seems odd. And he reveals that, in fact, he is from the year 2470. And so this, she's like, okay, another weird one, but she wants to stick with him. And it just is this great story, this romance story between these two characters. And this perplexing question, is he really from the future, or is that just is he just insane? And so to that end, the sci-fi element is a little, it's more just, is it time travel or is he crazy? Who knows? But it's a really great movie, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Happy Accidents.
It's nice. It's not a steal. I've never seen it, and now I'll put it on the list.
I love that you thought it was, though. So now I'm really curious.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, but my first film is a film that I would have started describing the exact same way. It's actually the 2012 film Safety Not Guaranteed. it's one of those movies that I wanted to be funnier and more romantic, and I felt like the romance part was one of the poorest elements of the film. This is about the romance between Aubrey Plaza and Mark Duplass, both people I love very much in their movies, and I just wanted this to be more. I think it's because I had invested in the story, the idea of this central protagonist who has written this note in a classified ads, somebody to go back in time with me. This is not a joke. I heard the story, like the original story on This American Life, and I thought it was just fascinating, and so I was very excited to see this movie, and I think it just felt a little bit empty in the end. But Aubrey Plaza, Jeff Garlin, Mark Duplass, Marilyn Raskob, I mean, it's a wonderful cast, and I feel like I need to check it out again because the conceit is really very funny, and so there you go. Safety not guaranteed.
That was one of my backups. That's yeah, I'm right there with you on that one, Pete. I wanted it to be much more than it was. It delivered in some ways. Particularly at the end, I'm like, how are they going to, how do you wrap this up? What's the payoff for this? And where do you go with that? But yeah, the whole like sort of like training that he takes you through. I mean, there are great moments like that, but yeah, there are just some pieces where it didn't quite come together to make it a film where I'd be like, oh gosh, this is a classic. This one I can easily just put on and enjoy, on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it sort of stumbles a little bit, but if you haven't seen it, it is worth checking out.
Absolutely, and directed by Colin Trevorrow. I mean, if you like anything else he's done, you got to see where he's some of this back catalog stuff.
Exactly,
it's on my list to see one day. I just haven't gotten around to it, and I don't know if you guys sold me on it.
Well, as long as it's not on your Wet Hot American Summer refuse to see list. All right, what's your next pick, Steve?
Okay, this is the one with the magic mailbox. You guys know what I'm talking about?
The
Lake House.
Mailbox.
The Lake House, 2006. Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock. They were living in the same house, but 2 years apart. They were able to correspond with each other through the mailbox. So he's living in the house in like 2004, and she's living there 2006, and they correspond through the magic mailbox. So we've got a little bit of time travel twist going on through the magic mailbox, but it's you reunite Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, and it's more of a romantic, maybe drama as you get towards the end, but the whole conceit of them living in the same house in the mailbox, and some of sort of the cause and effect consequences. Because when she moves into the house, she talks about the dog footprints. We're already here, and he's like, the dog footprints, what's going on? And as he's getting the house cleaned up and painting, then the dog comes, walking through, leaving the footprints. So you start to see, sort of the cause and effect across time with that. That's, sort of light fun before you get to, heavier, deeper stuff towards the end of the film. But there's sort of my, romantic film with the time twist with the big names.
You're not really selling it either.
What? You guys haven't seen it? It's a remake of a Korean film.
No.
Remake of a Korean film. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun because he is able to, because since he's there in 2004, she's in 2006, things that she talks about, she's able to tell him things that are going to happen. He's there's a great moment where, because he's an architect, so he walks her through like a virtual tour of the city of Chicago, and I guess maybe because of I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, I've got a little bit of nostalgia for that. But it's just a really cute film about you've got a romantic story where they don't actually have a lot of scenes together with each other. So it's a lot of them carrying scenes by themselves. And so you need some actors that can pull that off. And there is a interesting moment, spoilers here, where in 2004, she mentions about like being in the area at the time. So she is in a house with like her boyfriend at the time, doing they're having like an open house. They've just moved in with each other together, and he sort of shows up, and he knows her, but since it's in 2004 and she hasn't encountered him yet. She doesn't know who he is, so it sort of plays with those dynamics. So it's very entertaining, fun. If you like Keanu Reeves, if you like Sandra Bullock, I highly recommend it.
I really enjoyed that film. I'd have a hard time calling it sci-fi. I'd call it fantasy, but it still was an enjoyable film. To that end, a film I just watched that has a very similar idea is the anime film Your Name. So that's another one worth checking out.
Okay.
Well, my next one, this is I have a hard time calling this a romantic comedy. But there's romance and there's comedy and there's sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's really more of a sci-fi action adventure comedy, I would say, that happens to have romance in it. but it's a film that I don't know. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but boy, did I love it at the time. And I watched it a ton when it came out in the late 80s. It is the shrink them down and inject them into your body comedy Inner Space with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short, and of course Meg Ryan. This is that period when Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan they were like a movie thing, and anything they did, I just enjoyed seeing. They had a great screen presence together. It's a shame that their marriage didn't survive, but I sure loved watching them on screen. And this was just such a fun film. I mean, everything that happened in it was a delight. The special effects were really top notch for the time. And, it just has some really funny stuff in it. And, it's a film that's always stuck with me. I am nervous about rewatching it, but I think it would be a fun one to just revisit and see how it holds up. So that's my next one, Inner Space.
Okay, I give you Inner Space. I had always thought it was a guilty pleasure and that I was never to speak of it again. But now that you've,
I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad.
Growing up in the 80s, you had to love this film. It had so many things going for. I mean, this was I think Spielberg was the producer on this.
Joe Dante.
I had everything that was in that sweet spot of the 80s. This is not a guilty pleasure. This is just I was a kid in the 80s, and this was a film that was like totally marketed straight at
right exactly, that's it.
Well, my second film I think fits maybe in that category. It is the film that actually, it's for those who wonder if Winona Ryder was in anything before Stranger Things. It is the 1990 American romantic dark fantasy film from Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands. I feel like this, I don't know, it may have been a Steve Steele because it certainly nails the teenage angst story. But I really liked this. I really enjoyed my memory of it is very, very strong. It is a fun story of that melds coming of age with teenage angst, with the Johnny Depp's character of Edward Scissorhands, dealing with that, the sort of teenage growth era of, or the period where you want to bring people close, but you can't. And Tim Burton sure knows how to put these kinds of concepts like wear it right on its sleeves, this movie. And so I always have a very soft spot in my heart for this movie. Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, Diane Wiest, Anthony Michael Hall, Kathy Baker, Vincent Price, Alan Arkin, come on. And of course, a score from Danny Elfman that is really great. So Edward Scissorhands, there you go.
One of Danny Elfman's best scores.
Yeah.
Oh,
truly.
Yes, by far. Now, this was the film that will forever be, it scarred me for what the heck happened to that little kid from the Breakfast Club? When did he turn into this huge beast of a man?
Right.
Like, what? Yeah. The power of hormones. I was like, what? Anthony Michael Hall turned into like the big football bully. I was like, no, what? No, that can't be. That's like the greatest special effects ever. How did they turn him into that guy?
That's hilarious.
But it's a classic in our household. So yes, happy to see it on this list.
Again, it's more of a fantasy. I have a hard time putting this in the sci-fi camp, but and it's funny. It's a film that I know a lot of people love, but for me, I put it into the Big Fish category of Tim Burton films, that a film that a lot more people love than I do.
I love Big Fish.
I know you love
Shut
both
up.
of them. You can have a vote.
Me too. Yes, Pete, you and me.
There
You
we
guys
go.
can have
That's
a
it.
love fest with those movies.
That's right.
Oh, Andy.
Get off my lawn.
All right, Steve, what's next?
Okay, so since no one's talked about this one, this is my pick that has connections to both films that you guys have done in your series so far.
Ooh.
So we've got a loop where we've got time travel loops going on with a person visiting early versions of himself and other people, and it also stars Rachel McAdams. So there you go. We're talking 2009's The Time Traveler's Wife, Eric Bana, Rachel McAdams, based on the novel. Man can't control his time travel, and he's all over the place and gets sucked out of his life into different points along the timeline. And it plays with those loops, I think, really, really well. Comedy, yeah, I'm probably pushing there. There's some comic moments, but it's really more of a serious romantic drama. Talking about, how to have a relationship when you've got somebody that is just absent so much of the time. But a story that works really, really well. Haven't read the novel. One of those ones where I'm content to just enjoy the movie. And actually there was a series, a television series called Journeyman that actually tried to take this concept and turn it into a much longer story that I think made it through most of a season before being canceled. But it's to me a very interesting concept on time travel, where you don't have machines. You've just got a person who genetically can time travel, similar to in About Time, but having a little bit less control over that and the consequences of that.
I never watched this one. I know we're chatting about Rachel McAdams trilogy in our show, but I never saw this one. It was one that I don't know. I guess I was never really drawn to. But it's one that maybe I'll watch one of these days.
Sit down with the wife and watch it. You guys all have a good.
Well,
time.
the thing is, I think she watched it. And I don't think she liked it, so I don't think it's something that I would ever end up putting on.
Okay.
Well, that's too bad.
Did you see it, Pete?
Then wait till your daughter's old. Wait till your
No.
daughter's older. Watch it with her, and then explain that this is a bad boyfriend because he keeps leaving all the time.
No, I haven't seen it, but it was one of those where my wife read the book and has not been interested in seeing the movie. So, what are you going to do?
There it is.
And I don't want to watch it by myself. That's just weird.
we watch a lot of movies by ourselves, Pete.
But not that movie, Andy.
Oh man.
Okay. What's your third pick?
So my third pick, I'm going to go with again, I feel like I'm cheating largely on my list because I really struggled finding anything that I classified as a romantic comedy that just happened to have some sci-fi elements. So this one is pretty much straight up sci-fi adventure family animation, but there's romance, and I think it's a very sweet romance, and it is the 2008 Pixar film WALL-E that is also funny. I really, really enjoyed this film. I found that Pixar did some magical stuff with this story that largely has no speaking in it for a huge chunk of the film. Just these cute noises that Wally and Eve end up making. And the journey that Wally's character takes over the course of the film, and as Eve kind of finds this love that she ends up having for him, I just found so magical. And I know that some people had some issues with the way that it ended, or kind of just at the last half of the film, as you kind of get into the humans and these big blobby humans. It wasn't something that I thought was as strong, but the more I've watched this film, the more I've grown to find that it's just something special that Pixar did. So that's my final pick, is WALL-E.
I like that movie.
It's so good.
I like the first
I'll
part
give
of the
it to you.
movie.
Yeah.
I like the first part.
Oh, it's the whole thing is good. I don't know. It's grown on me so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's me. And here's one that actually legitimately may be a guilty pleasure. It is the 1992 film Prelude to a Kiss. Have you seen this movie?
No, I didn't even know it was sci-fi.
Yes. Oh, Alec Baldwin and Meg Ryan.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a body switching movie.
A body switching movie. So
Yeah,
Andy will
so
classify that as
yes,
fantasy.
exactly.
It's fantasy.
Doesn't
Yeah, so
fit.
I failed on
Yes.
all of my tests. But it is a body switching movie. It was based on it's a film written by Craig Lucas, based on his play, directed by Norman Renee, and it is a story of this couple that falls in love, Meg Ryan and Alec Baldwin, and she switches bodies with an old man, and the old man is played by Sidney Walker, who is great in this movie. I really like him, and he's very cool because he actually reprised his role as the old man that he played when the play premiered in Berkeley, and I think it was Berkeley, anyway, somewhere in California, and it's got a fantastic cast. Beyond Meg Ryan and Alec Baldwin, Kathy Bates is in this one, also Ned Beatty, Patty Duke, Richard Reel, Stanley Tucci. It's a great cast, and it's just a little bit lightweight, but if you're a fan of Meg Ryan and very young Alec Baldwin, this might be a film you'd enjoy. It does not crest the 6-star IMDb rule, which is disappointing because in my head it should. So that gives me pause about watching it again. But the soundtrack is really great. I remember as a teenager listening to the soundtrack a lot. It's very good. So there you go.
It's one of those films I remember seeing, but just for whatever reason, just never got back around to watching again. So it may be guilty pleasure. I don't remember because it's not. Yeah, I'd say lightweight. It's probably one that I'd be interested in revisiting and see how it ages. But it's one that I remember seeing. I may have even seen it in the theater. And, because it was the early 90s. How could you not be a fan of Meg Ryan at the time? It was like if Meg Ryan was in something, I was pretty much showing up to see what she was doing. So, I remember enjoying it. But I'll put it on my maybe I'll get around to it list.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is for me too. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I think it's sweet. And, for me, since I've seen it, I'm probably going to leave it there. And just go ahead and indulge in my memory of it and the soundtrack. Sure. So there you go. There you go. Nice list. I feel like it is exactly a nice list with as many films on here as I'm a little bit sheepish to say that that I love, but I'm certainly going to go check out Timer and Happy Accidents now that I know that wasn't a steal. Well done, gents.
Yeah, I think we did surprisingly no steals, right?
Yeah, well, we're in the romantic comedy zone, which I think it doesn't get a lot of play in a lot of areas on the show. So delving into some areas may be uncomfortable for some people, like Pete. I don't know, but this is it. I mean, when you talk about Meg Ryan and you talk about romantic comedies, I mean, that is a series you could easily do that I would be all on board with because there are so many that I just enjoyed so much, in the 90s, maybe even into the early 2000s. I'd have to look at the years on that. But yeah, there's so much. It's just, to me, it's just movies. It's just light fun to sit down and kick back and just go with it. And that's what I was hoping to see out of our lists here. And I think we got a good mix of that stuff. So, well,
certainly some new ones to check out.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
What do we do next?
Based on the show, we did determine the list already. It was what was it? Now I'm forgetting. Environmental catastrophes, Mean Matt Damon, and daddy issues.
If Mean Matt Damon doesn't make the cut, I think that's just a series you guys do on the main
show.
Well,
just to be clear, it's Mean Matt Damon, but we opened it up where it's any film where you have an actor who generally is somebody you're really rooting for in films, who then plays a bad character in a film.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think Mean Matt Damon would be a fairly hard and short list to put together.
Yes. I think there are exactly 3 movies that we can put together with that, and all of us would just talk about those movies.
Exactly. So that's the list for next week. Interstellar, and those are the options. We'll have the poll up sometime soon on, in fact, I can probably get it up today for everybody, and that we can get people starting the votes.
All right.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Outstanding. All right. Well, this is a good talk, gents. What is the next thing you're going to watch on your list?
My daughter and I have been, we started Iron Man. I know I just watched it recently, but then she's just like, I want to watch it now because we went to see Infinity War, and now she wants to see everything. And so we made it through half of that the other night, and we got to finish that sometime this morning. And then I've got to block some time out to watch Interstellar. It's a beastly film to sit down and watch. So, but my wife hasn't seen it,
That is the truth.
so she's finally going to get to suffer through it with me.
Andy, now come on. You can't start it like that. You just can't.
I'm actually not saying much to her. I'm going to let her see what she thinks, and I'm really curious to revisit it and get her perspective as well.
Yeah, see, Andy's version of hell is being locked in a room, being forced to watch Tree of Life and Interstellar back to back over and over and over again.
Oh my goodness!
Right, exactly. Where I'm like, yeah, just that's a weekend for me. That's fun.
That's like Saturday night.
That's right.
Steve, what's next?
We're gearing up for we got a graduation party coming up, so it's like all hands on deck for all kinds of things. Family coming into town, so the movie watching is low priority at this time. So I'll sneak some stuff on TV, maybe here or there, if I can. But yeah, I'm not expecting I'm going to have a 2-hour uninterrupted block of time to sit down to focus on anything. So.
Well, congratulations on the graduation party.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That is very exciting.
It just makes me feel old. That's all it does.
Well, you are old, man. You are old.
Yeah, I mean, table stakes, man. Table stakes. Thank you, everybody, for downloading, listening to the show, and thank you very much to all of our Patreon subscribers for helping us do this and make all of this possible. We sure appreciate you and your time and attention. And go watch some movies, everybody. We'll see you in Discord. Thanks,
Ciao.
guys. Steve.
What?
You got to say it or it didn't happen.
Hondo.
Thank you.